Hey everyone, this is Ashley with What's Up Under That. Here on my podcast, you can expect to hear about spirituality, love, sex, relationships, dating, but most of all, healing. One of my biggest mottos that I live by is be the change you wish to see. So often we want to see things change or people change around us, but at the end of the day, the only person that you can change is yourself. So if you're ready to embark on this journey with me, stay tuned. Hey y'all, so I was watching a TikTok video, and y'all know whenever I be on TikTok, my wheels get to turning and stuff, right? So there was this couple on there, guy and a girl, and pretty much in the video, the girl states how she caught the guy cheating. And, I'm just kind of like really watching it and observing it and everything. I'm listening to her side and I'm listening to his side. And there was something that it is that he said. Now, before I get into that, if you have not already, go back deep in my episodes and listen to the episode where I talk about, I don't know if the name of the episode was Boys and Their Mothers or Men That Are Narcissists. I can't remember what episode it is. If you scroll down to the very beginning, you'll see the video that I'm talking about. And then come back to this one. So in the video, the girl said how she caught the guy cheating, whatever. And his response was, it's always me. I'm the only one that's the bad guy or whatever. And this isn't so much taking up for men that are cheaters, but just a mere observation. So something that I've noticed in my experience with dating and dealing with narcissists, sometimes narcissists subconsciously will attract women that are like mother figures. But the issue with that is men don't want to date their mother. So not only that, it's essentially like they're subconsciously drawn to women that are mother figures, but then in ways, because they have not done the work to heal themselves from those wounds, they essentially project that wound onto women that it is that they date, and they feel that their behavior is excusable. Now, for a lot of times, from what I have noticed in patterns in just my own experiences, men that are narcissists generally, unless they are diagnosed with a narcissistic personality disorder, men generally become narcissistic either through their mother or their father. But in the instances with men that I've dealt with, I have seen it specifically come from their mothers. Now, the thing with this is, and just from my observations, men, a lot of time, boys growing up do not have a voice. They don't have a voice. They are gaslit and manipulated highly by their mothers, or mothers that have their own, mother wound or feminine wound or whatever the case is. They never take the opportunity needed or take the opportunity to recognize and reflect on their own traits, and they end up projecting this onto their sons. And I think too, a lot of times that is why a lot of boys end up being mama's boys, because as women, that's the worst thing for us. That's the last person we want to date is a mama's boy. It's too much work, it's too much upkeep, and you feel like you're fighting for the mom's relationship, because essentially the mother never wanted to heal and get a relationship of her own naturally, because she couldn't keep a relationship because she refused to take accountability. So she ends up projecting this onto her son and wanting to do everything, wanting to know every bit of his life, because she essentially makes him her best friend, but is also still very much gaslighting and manipulative when it comes to owning up to her own wrongdoing. So essentially, the son ends up seeing and experiencing this as a pattern. And a pattern eventually forms into a subconscious way of doing things, which ends up being happening or being projected consciously. So in that moment when he was like, you know what, it's always me, I'm always the bad guy, I could very much see how that was either a parental wound or a mother wound in that instance, but also something that I can now personally take accountability for the narcissistic relationships I was in. I had my own wounds and still have them that it is that I'm working through. But the particular one that I would do was I would always try to be a mother figure to men that I dated, tell them how to do things, how to live their life, how to do this and how to do that. Now, the biggest thing with that was, because in some instances, there was times that I may have wanted that type of guidance or just wanting to be that helicopter mom because I had a helicopter mom, or wanting to fix everybody's problems because essentially that's what I grew up seeing my own mother do with people. And doing that in relationships, one thing that I've learned over these years is that men want to date women that are their friend first, their best friend before anything. And a man that feels like a woman that he's in a relationship with is nothing but his mother, it's like, I'm so busy trying to fix you and I need to be working on myself. I need to be working on healing myself, because if I had made myself a priority and a focus in the relationship, 9 times out of 10, there wouldn't have been a relationship, or the relationships would not have lasted for as long as they did. So, just even given that, taking accountability for the parts that it is that I played in those ways, me projecting my wounds into the relationship and essentially wanting boys to become men so they could be who I wanted in the relationship, to give me a sense of security that I had never been familiar with because my father was not present in my life. And it's almost kind of like when you are a woman that has parental wounds and you date somebody else with parental wounds, while you may be faithful, you may be loyal and all those things, and if your man cheats, and it's not to say or justify that the man cheating is right, but it's also the fact that you've projected your wounds because you can't directly identify what's wrong with you, and he's using the little things that it is that you do as an excuse to cheat instead of communicating and pointing out, hey, I notice when you do this and that and the third, it makes me feel like this and I don't like that. Or, projecting, he sees how much you're willing to help him and be there for him, and he takes that to his advantage. He manipulates you, and he sees that he has somebody that's always going to feel like home, that's always going to be a certain level of comfort for him, but it's essentially not who it is that he wants. So instead of being honest and real with himself, he's lying to you. And then in turn, there's red flags that are coming up that you're ignoring, things that you're seeing. And because you're afraid of communicating your feelings, you don't want to bring these things up to him. You don't want to say anything because what if I'm wrong? And it's like, sometimes it's not about if you're wrong based off what you're saying. If you see it and you feel something, especially in a relationship, you need to open up your mouth and say something. And something that I've learned just even within my friendships, because communication is something that I have had to, and I still struggle with within my personal relationships, just because that is my own parental wound that it is that I'm healing. So it's like, when you already struggle with that in relationships, it makes it harder for you to stand up for yourself. It makes it harder for you to honor your feelings and your boundaries when it comes to things that feel like red flags. And it doesn't help either, like, if you do address those things and if the person is gaslighting you. And a lot of times, unless you've dealt with it a lot, gaslighting isn't going to always be easy. It's not going to always be easy to recognize. Unless you blatantly seen something, like you seen your man flirting with a woman, or you seen him walk past a girl and they hugged and the hug seemed a little bit more intimate than what you're used to seeing, and you gaslight yours. And that's the thing, it's almost like, and now that I think about it, it's almost kind of like, in certain cases, what if this is just an idea and an opinion? What if your man is only reflecting back to you what it is that you tell yourself? Because if you see something that bothers you and you choose not to say anything, you gaslight your own self and you tell yourself, oh, that's not real, or I don't think that's it. When you know what it is you're seeing in your saw, you're already destroying the trust that it is that you have within yourself by seeing something that makes you uncomfortable and talking yourself out of it into not saying anything. And now I completely and wholeheartedly understand, emotional intelligence and critical thinking. I get that. But if you are in a relationship where you do not feel safe enough to communicate your emotions and your needs and things that are bothering you, even if it was nothing, this helps you to better not only understand yourself, but understand the person that it is that you are dating, so that if something arises in the future, or say it was just the way that he hugged a person and it bothered you, speak up and say something. Some women would just say, first striking, you're out. But if something is bothering you, you have to say something. Like, absolutely have to. Because what's going to happen is you're going to let it go. 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 And essentially you're going to build up resentment. And on top of letting it go, in his mind, you haven't seen anything. So he's like, oh, I know she must have seen that, because if he looked over and he's seen you looking up at you guys, or just your whole energy changes. Men, even though men try to act like they don't notice that shit, they know. Because if men can pay attention to the small details when they're dating a woman they like, men have an idea of certain things. They may not so much be aware of things that it is that they are doing, or choose not to be aware, but they see and they feel your energy shifts. They're very much aware of that. And that's one thing I've learned from being in relationships where I've been cheated on. Those men pay attention to everything. How couldn't they pay attention to everything when it comes to you and your energy shifts? How would they be able to maintain keeping cheating behind closed doors if they don't pay attention to details? Now, they can be a little bit messy here and there, but that's a story for another day. So I want you guys to tell me, what's your opinion? What has your experience been with dealing with relationships like this, where you've been in a relationship, whether it be with a guy or a girl or whomever, and you've been with somebody that has narcissistic tendencies? If you have healed from that, especially those who have healed from it, what is your perspective now, looking back on those things that it is that has taken place? Where are areas that you feel you went wrong, or where are areas that you felt you broke trust within yourself? Okay, so I'm gonna leave a voice message at the bottom of this episode. Feel free to tap in and let me know. Okay? All right, bye.